Good evening, and welcome to the High Performance Show with your host, Kamira Raju, where we showcase ordinary South Africans under 30 living extraordinary lives. Today's show, we've got a very special guest, Nonku Mthembu, a third-year article trainee who is very close to obtaining the coveted Chartered Accountant designation of South Africa. Nonku has had a wonderful journey and a very much filled with different experiences and levels of challenge throughout the process. And we'd like her to share her wisdom and insight gained during this time in order to inspire fellow professionals or young professionals who are on this path on how to cope and to stay the course to achieve their ultimate goal. Nonku, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kamira.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Nonku, I've known you since our articles time, and since we met in the first year of articles, and now in our third year, I've just been impressed with the energy you have and the positivity you have in terms of motivating people and inspiring, people to smile in the chaos. I'd like to know what got you on this path to pursue the CA designation.
Okay, before I go into that, coming from the most positive person I know, that's a good compliment. So my journey, I would say, started in about grade 9 in high school. I walked into my accounting class that time, and there was like this huge poster in the back of the class, and something about do you want freedom in your career or something like that along those lines. And then it spoke about chartered accountants, and then it just had bullet points about having a career path that opens doors to many different choices, careers, freedom in financial freedom, as well as, I guess, decision freedom in terms of what you can do with your designation, and of course, making a lot of money. So I think that got my eye. And then as time goes by, in LO, you do some projects on like the career you want to pick, and I did it on, the CA SA designation. So that got me onto the path of what it takes exactly to be a CA, which is obviously your 4 years, so your 3-year undergrad, your 1-year postgrad, and your 3 years of articles. And then at the end of that, you qualify and do your qualifying exams. So that's pretty much where my journey started.
It all started from grade 9. I do remember that brochure. I do remember it also made its way to my school. And there's one thing that I remember from that same brochure, because I know which one was multicolored. It had it was like a 3-pager, and you could flip it over. And I saw that it said there was a statistic saying that most of the directors of the JSE listed companies, there's like a certain, and they had the CA designation. I thought, wow, what this looks interesting, and
I was like, that's a great way to make money.
And then I said, it looks like a good opportunity. And like you said, it takes a 7-year journey, and both you and I, we're in our final year of articles, and I think in those 7 years, we don't appreciate just how much you have to overcome to get to that final point. We're not there yet. We are almost done articles, but when we look back at these 6 years and so many months, as you mentioned, once you finish matric, you've got to do a degree in South Africa that's recognized with SAICA to get an accounting qualification, and then do your honors or CTA. On top of that, you then study for your board 1. You do your years of articles, and then your board 2, and then you qualify. And throughout that time, there's the level of difficulty increases. The challenges you faced with just increase so much, and sometimes it feels difficult, or it's tough to stay motivated. And I would like to know from you, how did you stay motivated and positive during your academic phase, so your degree study, and then how did you then translate that energy into articles with its completely different set of challenges?
So during undergrad, so there's a huge gap between matric and university. So I don't know if the people who want to become a CA know this, but you actually don't need to do accounting in high school to get into the program, your accounting degree, because it's basically two different things, and everything that you learn in your 3 years of choosing accounting as one of your subjects, you can actually learn within the first 2 months of being at university. So coming into that and being told that, I was like, oh, okay, so I'll cruise past this. If there's people here that didn't even do accounting and I did accounting and did really well in accounting, this should be easy. I got my first test back and it was like, I think it was like 24%. I was like, okay, it's real. And for someone who's had like straight A's, it was, a shock. I hadn't studied. I wasn't used to studying. I could cram the day before and I'd be good to go. And then it came to me fast that wasn't going to work. So, I had to figure out a different way to make this work because I needed to make this work. I've got a bursary. People are counting on me to actually see this through. So yeah, I started, hitting the library, putting in the hours, and then that even wasn't working. You put in several hours and the outcome is just not translating. Right. So it was just, it was a lot of trial and error. And in that time, I don't want to lie and say, I stayed motivated and it was all great. It was hard. There were days where you just get up and you're like, I don't even know why I'm going to try today because nothing I've tried has worked so far. But for me, I think the thing that kept me going is that, and I think this is what I tell people that come to me and say, you've come this far in your journey. What is it about it that made you keep going? And I say, you can only rely on your smarts so far into the game. At some point, you need to want it. And when I say want it, someone needs to come to you and like, what do you want to do with your life? And it needs to say CASA. So you need to be, I would say, razor focused on what you want to do, because that is the one thing that'll push you through the hardship of failing, through the hardship of missing home, through the hardship of anything that goes on within the entire journey and university in itself. The one thing that'll actually keep you going is your passion for what you want to do. So for me, that was the one thing that really, really pushed me. I couldn't see myself doing anything else, no other degree, no other qualification. I'd set my eyes on this and come hell or high water, it was going to happen.
That is something I really do admire about you. And I always see that with your quiet confidence in the office, like it's really just phenomenal, that focus that you've got, the discipline that you've got. And, you mentioned something really interesting there that I think a lot of people can relate to, is that confidence, that the shift in difficulty from high school to varsity, and those straight A students who come out of high school and then now get faced with a 50% for accounting in undergrad, it really does knock people's confidence and gets people frustrated. So, you understand that, because, I mean, even when I got there, it was a completely different shift. You're getting 80s, 90s, now you're getting 50, and you're saying, but how does that happen? Do I know only 50% of the work? And you start to question yourself like that. So,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that you're a mentor as well. You help people who come to you and see you as a source of inspiration. So I'm very interested to know on how you mentally process that part. I know you mentioned you stayed focused on the journey to, want this designation. How did you then tell yourself to keep going? Like, how can people maybe refine their studying or their tactic to make those, like you said, you made those, the hours you put in weren't translating. So how can people maybe refine their study technique or their focus so that the hours they put in actually would give them an output?
So what I quickly found out for me is that lectures don't actually do much for me, because how our program was structured is that we'd have, especially once you just having your four majors, you'd block out like these 2 hour long sessions for each major, and then you'd have double sessions. So you find yourself sitting behind a lecture hall for 4 hours listening to someone go through lecture slides. And for me, that started just not working at all. I couldn't keep focused all that long. I was fidgeting, and it just wasn't working out for me. So what I initially tried was just doing the course material on my own. I found that that wasn't working because there was so many gaps in what I was reading and what I was understanding. So, and the gaps couldn't be filled by the lectures that I was attending. It wasn't coming through. So what I started then doing was I started finding like videos on YouTube, things that could really just simplify the the subject matter for me into a way that I could actually process and understand what I'm trying to learn. Because with all four disciplines, it's really not about cramming or trying to force it down your throat. You need to actually understand the process from A to Z, because they can give you 100 scenarios in your practice, and then in the exam it'll be 102 and you have no idea how to answer it because you've now crammed 100 ways to do it. But if you are not understanding the principle behind it, and I used to hate when my lecturer would say that, like, you need to understand the principle. I'm like, no, I just need to learn the examples and I'll be fine. And then you actually find out that no, you need to understand the principle. So when someone will come to me and say, I'm really struggling with this, how can I, be better? I would say, take a shot at it. You've learned a bit on it. Do your first run through of it, and then see where the informational gap is, not where you went wrong. Where in the theory did you get it wrong? And then go back to that principle, study that principle, and then apply it again. It doesn't matter if you can get through 50 examples. If you're not understanding what they need from you, you could do 20, 40, 60. It's not going to help if you're not understanding what you need to do. So yeah, I started relying a lot on YouTube videos, actually. So shout out to them.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic, Nonku. I think that was very well said. You have to understand the principle of what you're doing. Once you understand that, the simple principles, then you can see how they all tie in. Like you said, our four majors definitely they are all interlinked. So once you understand how the principle works, and you can see how it relates to maybe financial accounting, management accounting, tax, and audit. So I really liked that, and I hope that the viewers are able to take that wisdom and apply it, because I was a tutor as well at a point in time, and people would come to me and, like you said, do a lot of questions, mark it, see where they went wrong, but not understand or learn from it. They would just hope that by doing more questions,
it's gonna
they'd have a higher result. Exactly, because a principle is for a lifetime. A question is, that can get revised. So that is a very, very valid point. And I think that is something that hopefully people can, take away from this video. I think you mentioned as well that in terms of the studying and in terms of the transition from studies to work, there's definitely an element of pressure, deadline, stress, right? And I think what's prevalent now out there in the working world is that people are definitely feeling the effects of deadlines in terms of burnout and fatigue, mental health issues. So I would definitely like to know how you have been able to handle high pressure and high stress environments. How have you been able to adapt and stay calm, or find the positives in those kind of situations?
So I think in particularly this journey, especially I would say maybe third year articles, well, third year postgrad, and then going into your articles, the pressure really starts coming down on you. The workload doubles, I think, in postgrad from third year, and then in articles, you're just thrown into the practicality of what you've been studying, and you really start finding out that what you actually learned is really just a fraction of what you need to actually get through to get through the 3 years. So I think for me, in third year, I had a period of time where I completely burnt out. I was tired. I didn't want to do this anymore. I started questioning, what am I doing? Is this the right path? And I actually went out and I got myself some help for that. I started speaking to a counselor, just going through some of the emotions that I was going through. And they made me see that I was the one actually blocking myself from achieving what I wanted to achieve. I was getting in my head a lot. And yeah, I think having an outside party that you can check in with every now and again really does a lot for refocusing yourself and putting you back on the right path. And I think a lot of people see that as a cop out, just to maybe see that you're weak, you can't handle it. And I mean, we're humans and we are a human race. We were never made to go through anything alone. You're born with parents, who take you through your childhood and your adolescent years. And then you make connections with people, be it family, friends, colleagues. So no one can actually be a one-man island going through anything, especially this journey itself. It needs you to check in with someone, be it a friend, be it a professional, be it, an elder like your parents or someone that you can trust. It needs, for you to not be afraid to say that actually I am struggling and I need help, because you will need help and you need to get the help that you need in order to bounce back. So that's very important to be self-aware that you're actually not coping and you need help. So that, I think, helped me and that carried me through my third year and my postgrad years. And then when I started articles, that was a completely different ball game. I mean, a month in, we were plunged into lockdown, and you having to learn as well as adjust to being confined to your house or wherever you were in lockdown for. So I think that itself also brought about a lot of issues for a lot of people. I mean, you get people that traveled different provinces to come and do their articles, and now they're alone. They're in an apartment, they don't know anyone. I mean, those are the kind of people that you want to reach out to and be like, just get the help that you need. I mean, we became a society that now Zoom meetings and everything became virtual. So you didn't have to be alone all the time. And I think what I would really like to stress is that in the journey, you need to find your tribe. That's the people that are going to keep you sane. They're going to keep you checked in, and they're going to see you through till the end. Because it gets hard. The hours get long. Some people, they'll operate, not in some people, I used to operate on 3-4 hours at a time when the deadline was tight, our backs against the wall, the manager shouting at you, the client wants results. And having people that you can reach out to and be like, hey, I'm not for nothing, but I don't know if I can do this. And the people then that you have, you need to trust that they can pick you up when you're down, and they need to trust that you can do the same for them. So I think it's very, very important that you have people that you can reach out to and that you find, whether or not it's within your own firm, whether or not it's from a different firm, but people that are actually walking this journey, who have walked this journey. It's important to reach out to them. Find a mentor. If you can't find a mentor, find a friend, someone, anyone, just to keep you sane. And if that's not working, find a professional. It's not going to change, who you are or how strong you are. It's just going to make you better, if anything.
That was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. And you're so right, because if you have that mentor who is in the same profession and they've got maybe a decade or a few years more experience than you, then they're able to, put to give you some perspective and say, you know what, I understand where you were. It was rough, but it gets better. And they can give you that encouragement. And like you said, they can definitely lift you up, and help you find the path again, find that happiness, and find that balance again in your life, where you're loving the process and loving the journey. Personally, I do also have a few mentors in the profession who I normally check in with, and we keep each other accountable. And you're so right. You're able to just have a conversation with them and say, it was a rough day, and they'll say, you know what, the days do get better, and you can go forward with that knowledge, knowing that the hours you put in now, it will pay off. There's it's the difficulty that we face now, it doesn't last forever. It is a 3-year period, and then once it's done, we're able to move on and use the skills gained for the benefit of others. I mean, especially, you're right, especially during that 2020 time. We just got in our intake, finished varsity, wrote that exam, had a month of being, with the clients or at the client premises, doing articles the way people have done it for decades, only to then be placed into lockdown. Everything was remote, everything was virtual. And our whole first year experience then was turned upside down, because there was no one to just ask a question. We had to figure things out for ourselves, then organize a Zoom call, learn how to use those apps. That came with its own level of complexity and stress and uncertainty. And then from there, that sort of became the norm and how we do things now. And I definitely agree with you that during that time, just speaking to our colleagues or our teammates who we really could just confide in and chat to, dial them in for 10 minutes, have a morning check-in, see how things are going. Just keep each other motivated on our toes, just made the week a lot better. And,
definitely,
it got us through it. I think it's those kind of moments when you look back on the whole journey, it's those moments in that difficulty you smile and say, you know what, it was rough, but you know what, we all laughed together, or we all had a joke, or we all had a chat, and we suffered together for a bit.
Yes, suffer together. Never suffer alone. You're not going to make it if you suffer. Well, you can, but it's just better. It's better together.
Exactly. It just gets lonely, right? If you're on your own, it just gets lonely. Because even for the people who are doing like the accounting articles or any of the other professions, it's all about networking, meeting people, learning from each other. It's a collaborative environment. And it really doesn't make sense to be overwhelmed on your own, or to suffer in silence, or to just suffer on your own. It's all about reaching out, learning from each other's experience, and then helping each other grow together.
Definitely agree with you there.
And so I think in terms of that, Nonku, you've gained a lot of wisdom now in these years, and from all this experience. No, I'm serious. I would definitely like to know, what words of advice, or what 3 key lessons you've learned during this whole process that you would like to share with someone who's starting their journey or who's in the journey.
Okay, so 3. I would say that be prepared. for a long journey. It might not be a straight journey. Some of them are, a lot of them aren't. You know, if your journey takes a different direction, go along with it. And I think everyone has this running thing where it says it all ends in CASA. And it's really, really true. The journey is your own and it's what you make of it. So if someone takes 7 years or if someone takes 10 years, the journey is the journey. And all the life lessons that you learn along the way are yours to keep and to, you know, maybe one day impart it on someone else. So never get down on yourself if you find yourself not um, going at the pace that you hoped to be, or it's the set pace, because there is no, you know, copy and paste sort of solution for everyone going through this. Everyone makes it their own journey, and every journey is worth it and valuable. So never feel like you're down and out and take yourself out of the race, because it's definitely not a race, it's a marathon, and you just need to keep going at your pace and you'll eventually make it. So I think just be prepared for all of the hardships that will come with it, because there will be hardships. It's not an easy designation to get. That's why not everyone makes it through, but it definitely becomes worth it when you start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And then I say number two, and I'd mentioned this previously, it's definitely find your tribe, find people that'll keep you grounded, people that will keep you motivated, people that will pick you up when you're down. You can pick each other up when you're down, people that you can, like, you know, I just need to vent for 5 minutes. Can I have your time? And, you know, you can vent for those 5 minutes and then carry on with your day. Sometimes you just need to let it out and move on, because in hindsight, you'll find that it actually wasn't that big of a deal, but you actually had to get the emotions out, get the thoughts out, and move on, and you're fine. So it's definitely find people that will keep you accountable, will keep you grounded, and will keep you motivated to keep going. You can do it for yourself as well, but it's definitely a lot easier if you have people around you that you can count on for when it does get really tough. And then I'd say the third thing would be, in all of it, just enjoy it. It's a long journey, it's a hard journey. But along the way, you make memories that, you know, will last you a lifetime. You know, in your ordered room, it's like 10 o'clock at night, everyone is tired, and everyone's personality comes out when they're extremely tired and they just want to go home. And then you see the real person come out, and they're not the 8 to 5 person that they put on, you know, for the day. So definitely enjoy it, make friends, make connections, network, you know, and just don't miss out on anything because you're so focused on meeting deadlines and getting your competencies and all of that. Enjoy the journey. Otherwise, it'll be gone, and then you'll be thrust into, you know, the corporate life or whichever path you choose, and you'll never quite get this, you know, journey back. You will have qualified, and you would have missed the joy that a lot of people find in the journey to qualifying. It is a hard journey, but it is one that you can definitely find joy in.
Oh my, that was amazing. Nonku, that was absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot from you as well on this call, and I think those 3 bits of wisdom were absolutely well said. Very, very apt, and I think people can learn a lot from you and your positive influence. Nonku, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for being part of this show, and I wish you everything of the best as you complete the final stretch of articles. And I wish you everything of the best in your journey, in your future journey as a chartered accountant. Thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below, and stay tuned for more episodes on our high performers from South Africa. Until next time, cheers.